A while ago I wouldn't have thought that my game would see the daylight, much less I believed that my friends and I would have the opportunity to present it at one of the largest game events in the world. And yet it happened. Some time ago we returned from Boston, where PAX EAST took place, and to this day we are still in a bit of shock at how much excitement our production aroused. My name is Mateusz, and together with my friend Kuba, who is the main programmer of our game, we will tell you a little bit about the whole event, but before that, let us give you a short trailer of our game, Hank Drowning on Dry Land. Enjoy!
Wake up. We don't have all day.
That's where you're wrong.
We normally live in Poland, so a trip to the USA, to Boston, was quite a challenge.
The flight was 10 hours and you could feel that like something was a little bit off from the get-go, because like usually when you go to those events the flights are basically booked and packed to the brims, and this time it was like half of the plane was empty. Basically we befriended a couple of like people who sold dice. They let us know that like this year's PAX was kind of smaller, unfortunately, than it usually is. But the cool thing is probably because of that we're able to get a very like cool booth in a cool spot, because we were basically across the Elden Ring stand and the Pokemon lab. So it was like a, you know, in the center of the hall. It was like a main artery, main spot where like dozens of people like just went through.
Apparently it was not the biggest PAX East ever, which I can't really confirm, but still the number of different stands with games, with hardware, with everything associated with gaming was huge, and it was really hard to make time to look at all the stands we were interested in. Seriously, there was so much of it. There was Alienware, Larian from Baldur's Gate, Bandai Namco with the new Elden Ring Night Train, Pokemon, Razer, Crimson Desert, and a whole lot of other stands. The ones I've mentioned here are just the biggest ones. And what's interesting, our stand, Games from Poland, conveniently stood next to these giants, which definitely contributed to more traffic at our booth, because certainly a lot of visitors who were waiting in lines to test Night Train or to see new Pokemon stuff decided that they would see what was going on next door, and next door was us. Hell yeah.
The first basically hour is a media hour, and actually like because we are small in the game not many people visited us during media hour, because like everyone went for this Elden Ring booth. It was a massive tent, but like as the PAX went longer and longer, like I noticed like our game is kind of like getting interest, and like by the Friday evening or Saturday morning people started to queue up for Hank, you know. I was kind of pleasantly surprised.
And I will honestly tell you that we generally believe in our games since forever. We know that it's really a quality product and we think it's really worth attention, but seriously, nothing can describe our happiness when we saw smiles and engagement of players checking Hank. The peculiarity of this type of event is that there's a lot going on and there's a lot of noise, and in our game, however, we put a lot of emphasis on immersion, dialogues, and the players focus on solving various puzzles, so we were a little afraid of how players would cope with it in such conditions, and to our surprise, they did really well. They were super involved in order to pass specific levels, they were looking for various solutions, often even those we hadn't come up with ourselves while creating the game. The best thing was that even when they managed to pass the first stage in its entirety, they still went back to the beginning and tried another path. Mind blowing. But we talk and talk so much about our game, but what exactly is Hank Drowning on Dry Land?
Hank, think Batman, but always drunk, and he can time travel. The mechanic of the game is you basically play this co-op game with yourself from the past. So basically during the adventure, you get to the point where you find a mirror. And what you can do is go through the mirror back in time to the beginning of the adventure. And now there is two of you. One that is doing everything exactly as you did up to the point when you enter the mirror. And the other one that travels back from the future that you control. And you can basically, this way, you can be at two places at the same time. And you can use the knowledge of what you did previously to basically, time your actions and coordinate everything to solve this little situation, little puzzle.
Yeah, we take on the role of Hank. At any time we can rewind and speed up time. Passing through magic mirrors take us back in time while leaving a copy of Hank from another reality, and what follows is that at one point in the game there can be even several Hanks running around who perform exactly the actions that the player previously performed, but the plot twist is that they can't meet because they will make a paradox. And to top it off, we still prepared the final show of The Unraveler, which is a huge roller coaster ride with lots of obstacles and a horror vibe, which we are super proud of. We are also happy that so many people came to visit our booth. Even a lot of people from the media reached out to us, which we are also really happy about.
Like, people started to walk by and tell me, hey, someone told me about this game, it was really cool. So I was really happy. I didn't kind of expect that it's gonna make such an impression, even people from media, like we invited some media to visit us at the stand, and people visited us. I showed them the game, and they went back a couple of hours later with a camera so we could kind of like record and actually interview, asking for the interview. So it was kind of cool. The most busy day was actually Saturday. It was massive. Actually on Saturday there was like this cool meetup from like indie people, from the like developers at the hall. So basically after the event we basically, there was this little room where we could kind of meet up and chat a little bit. I really love this kind of stuff because this is where the truly innovative things happen, not at the forefront when there are those massive studios that have a huge budgets, because with the huge budgets comes expectations and you cannot take as many risks as you can. And I played a couple of really cool prototypes. The PAX is awesome, basically. You can meet so many interesting people there. So for example, one day we took a shuttle to the convention center, and there was this like older guy, he was like 65, maybe 70, that was actually cosplaying. And I started to talk with him, and he told me like, he's a traveler from the future. He's actually a grandson of Emmett Brown from the Back to the Future, and he's here to warn us about like incoming dangers. And it was so cool and so creative. I really enjoyed it. And he even showed me this watch with flux capacitor from the Back of the Future. He kind of created, he 3D printed it. It swirled around doing some funny noises. It was really cool. And when I talked to him a little bit longer, what kind of, he actually, like in his day, he was like this early days programmers. When he was younger, he was working on a VR headsets, like very early VR headsets back in the 90s. So it's like you meet those colorful characters, and then you realize, whoa, those guys actually in their lives are doing some cool, very interesting stuff, and it's something very unique, and I really love the atmosphere.
A banner with a QR code for wishlisting a game stood at our booth the whole time. And according to Steam statistics, during these few days of PAX East, the number of our wishlist increased by about 500 ads. It seems to me that for one weekend this is a pretty cool number, and if you too would like to join the owners of Hank on your wishlist, we'll leave you a link in the description. You will also find a demo there that you can check out. You can also follow us on social media because we are slowly finishing the work on Hank, and with that happening we will also soon announce the release date, so it is definitely worth following us. Thanks for watching, see you in the nightmares.